And good morning. Gotta get going. Man, I've been watching through Mizian's stream. He's doing like crazy higher rank trait bound stuff. And I wish I understood that stuff as well as he did. Or they did. Almost there. Actually, I might not even need the 5 minutes here today. It's going pretty quick. Actually, I'm gonna spend the last 2 minutes grabbing that other machine. Be right back. Good morning. Oh, you like the intro screen? Well, thank you. Yeah, Niwa did that. Well, he did his and then showed how to do it, so I had to follow suit. And my daughter drew that. Here, let's put it back up. It's supposed to be a sword, like um a Roman esque style warrior attacking this dragon thing. You lose the blade of the sword in the flame though, so it looks like the dragon's like toasting some bread, but still, it's cool. Hey, good morning. How's it going, JT? Cat peasant. I gotta reload my browser. I don't know why Twitch does this. On some days, it cuts off the top bar. Regardless. Let me make sure I got the automatic scene switcher back on. It is. So yeah, yesterday, last night we got 061 released. Yay! Billy R, how's it going? Chickens in the background. Oh, can you guys actually hear that? The those. Yeah, we ended up getting a bunch of roosters. One of the local hatcheries was they did this thing where they don't just gas the chickens, right? But they'll sell the males for a deep discounted price. And guys, don't take this personally, but that's just what they do because, well, males don't produce eggs. Yeah, we got chickens. It's probably fairly faint in the background if you can hear it, or it might be that OBS is clipping that, so you'll probably only hear it in the background as I speak. Oh yeah, they do this deal where they call it pan fryers, right? You get a bunch of chickens, they're $1 a piece, little tiny things, they're so cute, and you grow them, you love them, and everything, and then you fry them up and eat them. They're so tasty. Oh, they kept them in a residential area. R.I.P. neighbors. Yeah, we actually did that for a while too. Um, we ended up getting oh, what are they? The 3/4 size, no, half size chickens that lay like 3/4 size eggs, bantams, and these were great because they have all sorts of crazy. That's fantastic. Bantam chickens. They look just like regular chickens naked there. Um, but no, here these are amazing, amazing critters. I ended up losing them to like a raccoon or something. I don't know what it was. The chickens were just curious and would get close enough to like a hole in the cage and they'd literally like lose their head. But these are smaller chickens. They don't have. I'm looking for a picture here that has some sort of comparison in the background so you can actually tell size. Yeah, but look at that. Booted bantams. Looks so cool. Yeah, death by trash pandas. If they weren't so clever, it's trash pandas. All right. But yeah, I didn't really do any of this sort of like a little farm stuff when I was younger. So it's all been in the last 10 years or so. But it's made me realize that like life is fragile and appreciate what you get, you know? More growing crops, yeah. I gotta say though, bacon is good. You've seen some news about salmonella outbreaks because so many people getting chickens. Oh, really? Yeah, like that could be interesting. Yeah, well, I think people like to go and handle them, right? And a lot of people like to get chickens, but they don't probably understand that you still have to wash your hands. Yeah. Some of them can be very personable, like ducks too. We had a duck that was the lone hatcher. And so it really bonded with us. And now we finally figured out it's a male. It's called Ducky Duck. Yeah, they should have called it Drakey Drake. Oh, backyard poultry. Oh, that's funny. Oh, duck eggs are amazing for doing things like meringues or stuff like that. The albumin is, when you whip it up, you get smaller air bubbles. So you get this smoother, frothier sort of, anyhow, it's really good. Duck eggs are amazing for that. And some people are allergic to chicken eggs, but can have duck eggs. So where are we? This is in Stream Multiplexer, and I wanted to go over just a couple little things. I went through, added some documentation and all that stuff. So if you come in here and you click into the repository, it gives kind of contrived example of what it is and how to use it. Actually, that's not in here. It's in the documentation, isn't it? Drat. Here. So, for back pressure to classes of streams. Streams are gathered into channels that can be pulled via receive. Channels are independent of each other and have their own back pressure. With a TCP server, then we go into a couple different examples, and I tried to document all this stuff in here. And this is so much simpler than it was before. If we could look at the 015 documentation, and look, this is just, it's a little bit more complex. You have a lot more stuff that you have to be concerned about. Multiplexer itself was a pain to just initialize. Like, well, how do you do this? What is this amazing thing that I'm supposed to be giving you? So, all these types, you don't have to worry about these anymore. It's so much better. Latest one, sure, you still got some type information, but look, you just create a new one. You add channels to it. Remove channels, stuff like that. So, that works. Oh, you've only ever eaten duck. Not so much for duck eggs. You Cap Peasant, your friend had a pet chicken as a kid. What was its name? Alright, I'm gonna leave that one. One thing that gets me with the current design is on the receive. don't really like this add channel here. In here. Actually, it's this half. Can Rust be a good backend for web apps, especially if you're doing Rust? Absolutely. Yeah. And there's lots of projects out there that Rust. Let's see, what are the kind of popular ones? Well, there's the whole Are We Web yet, right? That was funny. Are mermaids real? Is that actually trending? What are you going into here? Can I replace my yada yada yada? Frameworks of choice. I've used Warp, Actix, and Tower. Warp is fun, especially if we want to get into like combinator craziness. Rocket there is kind of the. It should now be able to work on stable. We bounce to their homepage. They got a nice page here. Oh, not yet. Not stable yet. They got to release again to actually hit stable. But Rust version 1.45, I think, made it possible so that they can compile on stable instead of nightly. But Rocket's kind of cool. Yeah, just look around in here. I think Tower Web's going to get a facelift here too in the near future. Rocket's aiming to be like Spring Boot of Java. Tower Web. I'm hoping that these guys update this more often. December 5th, 2019. Yeah. I think most of the stuff I'm doing is currently in Warp. I moved away from Actix into Warp. And then they have all sorts of like ORMs. This one, I've never used the Rust ORM. I have used Diesel. I use that in my game engine for migration and my DB stuff. It's pretty good. It doesn't do async yet. At least last time I checked, it didn't. So I just have little wrappers around it. Let's go to their GitHub. I want to see. It's been a long outstanding issue. Updated 10 days ago. Really? Wah, wah, wah. And this guy then went on to make SQLX, I think? Mech code. Yeah. Hey, someone 5209, how's it going? Then there's SQLX, which I think is that guy. I don't know him by his actual name. Is it Zach or? Repository, there it is. Oh, Ryan. All right. But yeah, then he went on to go build this after that. After Tokyo was just like, no, we're not going to do it yet. So, anyhow. Man, music's amazing here. 149 files changed. 2,500 insertions, 9,500 deletions. That's enough for the day. Holy cow. Alright, well, as the stream says, we're going to actually go back into the game server today. Oh, compile time check queries. That means that basically you set up your database, and at compile time, it actually does a little connection to it. It connects to your database and verifies that the types are all right, so that you're not doing this at runtime. It actually makes it faster at runtime because you verified everything at compile time. Yeah, it's really neat. Yeah, the amazing the proc macros. Are those proc macros that you can do that in? All right. So one little bit that I kind of want to touch on this, but oh, you got the full recompile down to 4.5 seconds. Wow. Wow. And I would love to do that. But I'm stuck on that bug. Or is it basically this guy waiting for futures to change to Pim Project Lite? Which doesn't seem like it's going all that quick, but hopefully they do it, and they do it in a good way. I'm gonna go back to Legacy. Actually, I'm gonna take a moment to restart this terminal. I want the other, there we go. Tmux is gone, Tmux, go into source. There we go. We have a spaceship, yeah, sweet. Okay. Okay, we got some issues in here, I'm sure. Futures Lite saved you a lot of headaches, yeah? Takes a lot of effort not to use any stuff that relies on Pim Project. Wow. That's pretty cool. It almost seems like the compile time in Rust is really a feature, like it being slow, because then people actually work against not just overloading their crates with trash. This is Kitty. We're going to load up server main. Let's get cone curve completion to kick off. Oh shoot, maybe we should have done an update. No, we'll do that later. There we go. So expanding those macros, how much time would that save the compile? I mean, 4.5 seconds is nothing. There we go. Okay. Quarter of that. Wow. This is going to be so much different now, just because of the way that stream multiplexer changed. Because instead of having this outgoing packets, we're actually going to have a stream multiplexer around. Either that, or we wrap it. Do that. Oh, I see. Yeah. Oh, recursive. Let's take a peek at the other one. Into on. Nice. We might not even need that TCP server at all. Alright, so what this used to do, or what it currently does, and it's about to change. If we go to server main, look at TCP server, we set up this kind of outgoing RX thing. And this was a channel that could send stuff out to specific. Really? Wow, did I do it that way? Sorry, that you could basically say, I want this packet to go to these connections. Here's the data, right? And you toss that into this channel. And that there would have this outgoing packet struct. But instead of that, we're just going to have a multiplexer. Oh, wow. And these are going to go away. Some of the TCP server we're going to keep. Specifically the piece where we set it up. The stream producer. Pretty much going to keep that. Well, sure did give you a pretty big headache with it. Every type allocates at most once, and just have a bunch of indices into that one maybe allocate a string. Oh, I see. You had to fake it being real strings for Serday. Undead Leech, thank you for the follow. Also, let's see. I almost want to say Prof and Real Polini, but thank you for the follow. Is it Profand? Profand Real? Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's tough to say. Colonel Sash, thank you for the follow. Take all the debug impulse as well. Wow. All right, get status. Background image. All right. Journey in AI. Oh, long weekend. Nice. Very nice. Finally got around to removing a single task spawn you had. Everything is done in the same future. That's great. That was really tough with like a stream multiplexer, trying to figure out a way to do that without having a runtime inside of it. Oh, and tomorrow everything in the same thread for the sync code. Nice. Alright, all that goes away. Control goes away. TCP server run. Yep, you're all going away. Metrics we're gonna keep though. TCP server is gonna get one of these, but I think it's gonna change quite a bit. Well, go tomorrow. I have no idea what time it is where you are. It's a good set of changes. I'm looking forward to updating the updating Capitan. Let's see, how long has it been up? 20 hours? Yeah, every now and then Twitch just hiccups. But it reconnects. I love that it's like always there now. It seems so stable. Alright, in this case we're going to pass a multiplexer in. Keep that multiplexer. I don't think we really care about those constraints on this. We'll have to see. Of course, multiplexer has a couple things. Really? Did I end up? Oh, that's the old one. That one's not like that. Let's give COC a restart. Maybe it'll find the better one. No, okay, it's gonna take it a bit. So we're gonna have multiplexer in here. TCP server takes the multiplexer. Now when it runs, what is it doing here? It's a stream producer. What is a stream producer? I think that's just basically our TCP socket. Binds up here. So it listens, it's binding to an address, yada yada. TCP listener bind. So just new incoming sockets. Then this has a stream producer, which would be nice if it was a little different. So instead of having an incoming stream, yeah, I don't think we need an incoming stream anymore. That goes away. Just return a tuple with a framed write and a framed read. Oh, I see that good error. I mean, really? Why don't we simplify this? We just take this here. Down to where we're binding. Toss that in there for a moment. Oh, what did it used to do with the metrics? Okay, in the packet codex, that's right. So we could actually keep stats on the different metrics. I can't say that. Packet metrics. Are those Patricks? My mind just like blurred them together. All right, now in this case, we have that. Now this TCP listener bind, we should be able to just get rid of this here. Just loop on the output of this. That could be a match or something. How long have I been programming Rust? Since September. Yeah, a couple hours a day since September. It's not my main gig. It's just I thought it'd be fun to learn. We'll give a match on the socket here. Give a little rebind. Now in this case, incoming off of this is going to be. Now I thought this actually returned a little bit more. Oh, by day I'm a web dev actually, but really I started out doing more C++ stuff. So I would have to say C was my first love. Well, no. My wife and I we met in high school, so she was my first love. C was my second love. See, I need a to-do macro. To hyphen, something like that. Multi-snippet edit. Oh, it's not in there. Where did those macros come from? I'll just use unimplemented. Or, oh, I see. To do is actually that one. There we go. Whatever. Some none. No. We're actually going to do this stuff down here. That's going to go in there. Something up in there. And this has got the formatter all freaked out. Yeah, where's the other error? Yeah, we're going to get rid of this. Stream producer. TCP stream result, that goes away, this goes away. You know probably T. Jeff G, no. uh, little C, decent amount of Python. No, I think it's just consistency. I treat programming languages like spoken languages, so practice, practice, practice. That Musean has been a great mentor. Telling me, man, Musean, you've been really patient with me in the beginning, because now I look back at like how Stream Multiplexer was, and that took a month, right? The first time through. Oh my goodness, that was a mess. Yeah, we're gonna get rid of that. Do we even use these anymore? Nope. Okay, oops, too far. Okay, bind is gone. We're not calling bind. We'll still have our TCP server, and then we'll just set it up to accept sockets in this for loop and toss them into the stream multiplexer. Self.multiplexer.add stream pair. I don't remember. That's not going to do it for me. So this will split it into read and write halves. I was trying to think the other day, is there anything I need in here that actually is dependent on Tokyo? Or could I use the async traits now? Or crate, the async IO crate. I think it's just the codec bits. Having the packet codec is really nice, I have to admit. It's not a ton of code though. Yeah, that length to unlimited codec, so very nice. Yeah, other than that, it seems like it's pretty straight up. That could be a fun change as well. Yeah, it seems like I'm starting to favor some of the smaller crates. Like I really like small. And I saw that recently, Stephen Jang? I forget. He even broke out the executor, right? Is it this one? No, not that one. This one. I really like how each one of these pieces is independent. It's clean. I like that approach where he's just building these little pieces and you can choose mix and match and do whatever you want with them. I'm not super prescriptive. Oh, interesting. It's got a block on, which is nice for just testing a boring feature. That is cool. Still looking forward to using Futures Lite. Oh, I could probably do it now because I don't have a stream multiplexer in here, but all my streaming stuff, like all the socket stuff it's pretty much in this file and, well, stream multiplexer. All right, so what are we gonna do in here? What do we have left? Stream, TCP stream. It's all right, this is missing some bits. That's still pointing to the wrong one. Didn't that pull in the right one? Is it upgrade or update? Good, okay. Oh, nice, it's got race. I didn't recognize race. So while that cooks. Oh, I see A or B. Nice. Hmm. Oh, waiting for 5 futures. If A, or B or C, or D, or... That's funny. Oh, it's a turkey and pullets outside. Those are young. That must have been a late hatching for them. Huh. The ducks are just staring at him. All right. Amelia looks young too. Either that or 2 females. All right. So you either select future 1, future 2. I'm glad you told me about race. Actually, what was it in stream multiplexer that kept us from being... Oh, futures unordered. Yeah. I see, or a select bias. Pair, select. Nice. That's cool. Alright. Gotta get into Futures Lite. That Futures Unordered kept me from using it Yeah, I was looking at that. The either itself being a feature. All right, let's go see. Now that we've removed the old stream multiplexer and given this a cleaner build, let's go see. Should be able to catch up on that. All right. Oh, good. Okay, stream utils. Source lib 2. Okay. That's right. We did have a bunch of stuff in there. I don't know if it makes sense to actually jump in there yet. Let's go take a peek though. Yeah, those are gone. Drop connection. Yeah, we don't even need that anymore. Although, having an into iterator on that would be nice. In case you're dropping like a whole zone. Alright, so there's a little bit of a parity mismatch between the old and new stream multiplexer. I see, we do remove stream instead of remove streams. Hey, Game Dev Unknown, how's it going? It looks like most of this actually goes away. Wow. That's going to break everything. Cool. Alright, let's jump in. Had things from Doc by putting a pound before it. Oh, like the, or was it in lib here? Oh. In this, right? Setup import, yeah. Oh, interesting. That makes sense. Gotcha, yeah, yeah. Huh. That's a neat idea. Actually, just to play around with that real quick. There's a lot in there. Oh, multi-line comments. Multi-line dot comments. Gotcha. Okay. Huh. Oh, nice. Okay. Looks like streamer utils is gonna go. Did you remove that? I gotcha. Yep. Does that make that easier to actually work in? Yes, this is Rust. Well, not that, but this. This is all Rust here. Formatter hasn't kicked on yet in a while. So we need to run the TCP server now. Small. I want to use small. Why do I even have that? It's for the. Oh, you know what? I think it's for the runtime bits. The. For stuff with doc tests, you definitely prefer the multi-line. Yeah. All right. I'm just gonna have fun. I want to check something first before we get into that. This runtime. What if there's anything specific to Tokyo with the tasks being spun? I think those. What I'm thinking about with the tracing is really just specific to futures and not to Tokyo. Yeah, that's on the async block. Okay. Yeah, that's. Oh, here we go. There it goes. Dun 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 dun. And what do we even need the codec for in? Okay, yeah, we need that in there. That's fine. There was an upper limit on the string. Oh, wow. Oh, I see. The triple slash foo is just doc foo. Expected a comma. Why? Bust Analyzer is not having the best day. Just out of curiosity, did that update? I think I'm on the latest weekly. Oh, I'm not. All right, let that bake. Normally I don't do this in the middle of the stream, but when I do, it's because I'm updating Rust Analyzer. Oh, you never noticed the tags? Yeah, I only ever do the weeklies. And the last weekly was kind of meh. Oh, gotcha. All right. Okay. Now in this case, oh goodness, we just updated a bunch of that. Metrics IPC server. What did we do with that? Tokyo task spawn. All right, let's go to the beginning. What do we need to do in order to get this running? We are going to need a runtime. Right, we just ejected Tokyo because it's Thursday, and that's what we do on Thursdays, apparently. All right. Failed to load workspace. What? No target specified in the manifest. Oh, one is for the module and the other's for, what was the museum just said that? Oh, where'd it go? Just had that. There you go. All right, let's just start on it. Get rid of those. That's still going. All right. Man, I've started to really rely upon Rust Analyzer because here my diagnostics are empty. So knowing where the next thing to fix, just bouncing between those in Vim just makes it so much easier. Oh, that's right. And now because we're not going to have those two different kinds, having this NPC sender receiver thing should be pretty straightforward. Async channel. Take a peek at that again. Actually, I want to look at the source on this one. Outer lines. It's mostly documentation. Comics, ordering, arc. Oh, using concurrent queue. As event listener. Okay. When we create a bounded one, we get an arc on a channel. Send, receive, stream. Oh, nice. Okay. I haven't played with the event stuff yet. That could be neat. And just for giggles, concurrent queue. How many things does he have? Hey, we're actually building a game server. Wait, Dr. Monkey Bro. Oh, we're over here. I'm building on that thing. That's a game server. Should be like a multiplayer game server. I'm actually a little surprised with that. All right, so when we start this, when we start the metrics IPC task, what does that actually want? So I think we're going from one type of channel to another. Yeah, we just loop on this. Metrics receiver, toss that over to Prometheus. And done. Okay. Huh. Wow, that thing's still going. Got our Jaeger pipeline. I think we're gonna have to start just going top to bottom. Is async channel as channel? Oh, that's not an issue. All right. Oh, stream util. That's true. Okay, this is the error we had earlier. Stream util was basically just a one file sort of crate, and it's gone now. Goodbye, stream util. Right. Top level cargo, stream util, get rid of that. Switch and Forge, still not in the server. Legacy Rust, that's a client piece. Yeah, we're coming back to that. I restarted it just because it was having that workspace issue from before. Alright, now anything that's actually referring to it. Those four, delete, delete. Write them all. It's basically a sequential queue from Crossbeam, but with more atomics. Huh. Crossbeam is also one of his projects. Alright. That's a little happier. And that's almost done. I'm surprised this seems like it's taking longer than normal to get Rust Analyzer to bake. Stream multiplexer no longer has control message. I like the smaller set of elements there. MPSC, there we go. So this metrics receiver is going to be a receiver, but it's just going to be from channel. Still not there. 6 more. So close. And swapping out those shouldn't matter too much. Unless, of course, there's some sort of mutability issue, but I think Tokyo's was actually a little bit more constrained than the other was. How does, actually, I didn't look. When we send, kissing channels all shared borrow, okay. Alright, so it shouldn't have much of an issue. They're just gonna litter it with some warnings. Three more. 3 more, come on. And only one sender, one receiver type, which is great. I like that. So I want to go into server. Start here. I love the simplification there. Makes it easy to switch between them. If it's bounded or not bounded, you don't have to go and update a whole bunch of code. Return an item on full/closed. Which is really nice. I like being able to get the message back. Because sometimes you have information in there that's owned. You have to do something with it. 94, okay. There we go. No, let's do it this way. That should go real quick. Good. Just a couple errors. TCP server, line 2. Obviously not the right one. Yep, stream, that's gone. Gonna get rid of those. And that. Read half and write half, we don't need. Looking at async channel, why the deleted self? Oh, finally. That's done. So if we get rid of that, we go with just these pieces. We're also going to need async IO. That and futures probably. Okay, we do have futures. Sort those. So we have a TCP server. It's got a stream multiplexer in it. That type's still not right. So when we tell it to run, guess we could still give it the metrics. Either that or we give it the metrics up here. Does it make sense to have them here or there? Is it no big difference? Not in this case anyways. Does small do join handles like this? I don't think it does. And quite frankly, we weren't really using the result. I see, so we also need some way to shut it down. It does task for join handle? Oh, okay. You can await the task or detach it or cancel it. Yeah, I was considering detaching it, but But in that case, if we set that up to just return the join handle and it gets pulled at the bottom, that drives the whole thing, which is nice. And gives us a way to bail out of it. Alright, so what is... Did we add TCP server cargo? Does this have small? I don't see small. It'll just use whatever else is there. There we go. I need to check on something real quick. Rust Analyzer is still going on all that code. My goodness. You should drive the task even if we don't attach it. Yeah, that makes sense. Now, Resax DD, am I self-taught or do I have a degree / attending school, etc.? This isn't actually compiling Rust Analyzer. This is Rust Analyzer analyzing some source. And it looks like it has calmed down. But going back to Resax DD's question, so I am self-taught. I attended school and left school to start a couple of companies. I didn't actually have a great time in school. So, yeah, I spent most of my time in books, like reading, oh goodness, the C++ programming manual, right? Just volumes of text. I actually like reading source code as examples, as opposed to reading like volumes of text. Yeah, I'd force myself to like read that, and then, goodness, effective C++, more effective C++, effective Java, good. I mean, Josh Block, all those things are just amazing. Did I attend CS for game development or stuff like that? No, I've actually just worked. I ended up falling into game development in one of my jobs, and that was a lot of fun. So it's always been kind of a personal endeavor to do game development. Yeah, Rust docs are awesome with examples, which also is a little bit of its failure. While they do have really great examples, for somebody like me who favors the examples, I miss stuff that's explained in the text. And so I'll go and I'll do something, it'll fail, then I'll have to go back, read the text, like, oh, of course it says right there, right? So I'm getting better at actually just seeing the examples, reading the text, and then going and using it. Because I'm kind of quick to miss the text. And it's just, you know, one of those things I'm working on. So we can spawn this task, async move, yada yada. Yeah, I tell people if I retired today, I'd be programming tomorrow. I'm a programmer. I love it. We'll let that fail outside. Just in case that fails, I don't want to spawn the task. Alright, then we have the socket, and it goes through and it builds these things. I don't believe Rust Analyzer. It's okay. We're gonna restart the editor. Let's save our session. Actually, where did we save it? Oh no, did we save it in TCP server? Oh, we didn't. Good. Okay, now that should go and fire up Rust Analyzer again, which uses a lot less memory than it used to. I don't know if we want to, how we want to do that, because we have to consider how this is going to shut down. Have I tried it with Mimalic? I have not. Does that improve? Oh, look. Yeah, Rust Analyzer's back. Oh, thank you. No, neither of those. I think this was more of a NeoVim failing at that point than Rust Analyzer, even though it's probably whining about Rust Analyzer. Oh, look. Now it's jumping to the right thing. Thank you. Now at this point, I think we should provide the types here for this and not bubble those out. Oh, they should have noticeably lower memory usage on macOS. I wonder how much it's actually using. Let's see, can I sort this by memory? Rust Analyzer. That's not that bad, actually. I wouldn't say it's actually a task in the system. I've got other things that, I mean, I've got Chrome open, right? If I had to choose between a Chrome tab or Rust Analyzer, I am choosing Rust Analyzer. But thank you for that. If I do run into trouble with that, I'll set that up. Is it just a feature flag, or like, how do you enable that? Okay, cool. There might be something that just turn that on, get it for free. Oh man, now I want to try that, but I need to focus on this. All right, it's gonna whine about that. I get it. Let's keep going. Actually, it should be whining about that. Stream multiplexer, good. Run U. What does it need the U for? Is that the return type or something? All right, let's just, how are we gonna shut this down? Want to send it a signal, or something else can block, huh? Yeah, we'll let something else block. We're not gonna return anything. Let it go. Well, if we think far enough in the future, though, we probably want to know if this dies for some reason. What if a NIC gets unmounted, or this TCP listener somehow becomes dead? It's possible. That means somebody's futzing around with things they shouldn't. So what could we do with that? If that dies, some IO error, so we're talking memory exhaustion, run out of ports, right? So many people wanting to play the game. We run out of ports. Yeah, that'd be an interesting problem to have. Well, this will eventually run on probably BSD machines. That's what I'm familiar with. That's what I'm comfortable with. In fact, I might upgrade to from this Mac to a BSD box. The address changes. Yeah, that's like somebody's doing something they shouldn't. And in that case, we should probably shut the server down. Do we plan for that here? I guess it's just nice to ourselves to consider it. All right, let's do it. So when we run, let's see, get rid of some of this. Did I delete that? Probably. Get diff. Listen address. Here it is. Isn't there a standard one for that? Yeah, okay. Why did I switch from Alacrity to Kitty? I think it was for for the glyphs, the programming glyphs. Oh, and Surfcat, happy Thursday. And the VimRC, yes, the ligatures. Got the dot files here. Yeah, I like Alacrity. Alacrity is pretty cool. And I used it for quite a while on this. But I just wanted to be hip like all the other cats and use the programming ligatures. So that, and you know, it suits everything that I need. It's a TTY emulator. It's fast, right? Faster than I notice. And it can have its Chrome removed, which is really nice. Ah, messing with tools days, yes. That, and if you're going to be messing with tools, or was it, and you're going to be organizing your Vim your stuff, I mean, look at Xenocron stuff. Super fancy, all these things separated into afters and like this is a really nice setup for config organization. Of course not. Of course not. You just, yeah, divine into that all on your own. Just fine. Stream and sync. Just pass us through. I think it's stream and sync. Okay. Oop, that should be an I. Almost. Yes, we hit the I character. All right. All right, then we got a multiplexer coming in here, which is going to be that kind. Expected comma. In the middle of the word lies Why did I do this? Is this because... Yep. Ligature is probably the most requested alacrity feature, though it's really tough. Yeah. Oh, use fancy prime ligatures. That would be cool. Trying to smear together as many characters as they can. True. Chore cleanup. Yeah, and now you know that I'm going to be handing out Godot files, right? Like good examples. There we go. Dot files gold. All right, where were we? TSP listeners should be from standard. TSP listener there. And then we should be able to wrap that. Async of one of those, bind to that. Ooh, even async. That'll work. No bytes yet. Yeah, we get it. What is a join handle in small? Toss up some docs. It's just a task? Okay. I was wondering if that actually did that. I see, so we call spawn that returns a task. Got it. Thank you. I don't know what type that's going to be. Yeah, we'll get to it. Is this the only error that we actually bail on? Now, if we get the socket, we need to call socket split. Look if it's a left and a right. Actually, is that... Spotlight finally got added to docs.rs. Oh, interesting. A weird looking bike shed about that. Oh, this. Oh, interesting. That's really neat. I don't know if I like the rounded corners on it though. I mean, the rest of the UI doesn't really use rounded corners, so it's standing out. Sorry, web dev mode. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'll save that for later. Put that little creature back in its box. Shut up, you! Back in the box. But yeah, that rounded corners there. The black there is actually probably a little too dark for this. Got the font. The font's similar. Colors are okay. But yeah, kill the rounded corners. The rest of it just doesn't fit. Right? Everything else is square. Even there might be like a 2-pixel round on maybe like that. It's highlighted. No, that's square. Everything else is square. This is neat though. I like that. Associated type output. And jumps right to it. Damn. Nice. Oh, I've been meaning to switch to that. It's usually when I enter something white, I'll click on that again and choose this. Now for just that header bar. Oh, if it has spotlight, it has IO. Nice. I like these colors better. It's still maybe a little too light in the background there. That and the white in that text here is really bright. Sorry, web dev creature came out of the box again. We were going to look at split here. Not in there, but in do I not have futures open? Should probably just have those docs local. That'd save a bunch of time. Oh my goodness. Why? Docs. This one doesn't have IO. Oh, it does static hosting. Oh, I see. So now if I come back here, it's actually switched to the other one again. Oh, bummer. Oh, that's going to take a while. Oh, there's another solution to this. For those of you that don't know, there is some fantastic built-in documentation support in Rust. For the workspace, we'll open, and for all features, there we go. Oh, we'll build it with nightly. We will. Oh, is this going to fail because my code here is failing? Oh dear. Alright. Back to this. So we were actually trying to find split. Now in this case, futures. Split here. We're actually looking at stream split. So yeah, this is TX then RX. Alright. Oh, wait. There was a flip comma. Ah, haha. Lovely. Thank you, Rust Analyzer. I've been doing that by hand for years. When it says documented, it means generated HTML. Okay. That's gonna. All right. So we got that. We got the bind. We have the reader, the writer. That needs to get passed into this packet codec. Problem though is this writer isn't the right type, so we have to pull in some traits from Tokyo Compat, Tokyo Util, basically all those, if that's even correct. And then here with the writer and the reader, I think we toss a compat on those. Because Tokyo wants a certain kind of async read and async write. And I love Tokyo. We'll do the add stream pair here and in stream multiplexer. I think we add the sync first. Let's rename that. And now we need a channel. That's what we can pass in here. Hey, 10 Lotus. Rust plus Godot, you mean the same app? Or like Rust server, Godot client? Actually, both. Yeah, we're using a GD native when we're working on the client. At the moment, we're working on the server. All right, this is slowing things down, building the documentation, but hopefully it'll give us IU across that. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Toss a semicolon on that. What else? Let's analyze this with Clippy's eyes. That and this incoming. I want to check the incoming on that again. Where was that? That's actually in here. TCP listener incoming will never return none and will also not yield the peer's socket adder structure, which we don't care about. Equivalent to calling except in a loop. And we could just call except in a loop. Yeah, it's weird that, I mean, technically we don't need the stream anymore. Guess we're not passing it into a stream multiplexer like version 0.15. So we could just call it except in a loop. That wouldn't be that bad. Get the result. When does it ever error? That's an IO error, right? Never watched a programming stream. Yeah, I actually like to watch people program. I thought it would be interesting for others, especially like learning, like watching somebody use an editor. Right? You can pick up so many little tricks from somebody that's been using the same editor for a long time. Actually, because we're wrapping that in async, where is it? Async channel. Get back to the docs. Oh, that's async channel, not async IO. My mistake. Okay, it's the same thing. Perfect. So in this case, if we're going to do, instead of this for loop, we could while let, and then just have the tuple address socket is equal to something more along those lines. Take that, put this in the while loop, get rid of that piece. Split the socket, do that. Now we even have the address and can log that. Trace info. Oh, I see a config because some systems it calls setup 2, set socket option 2, which is used to rebind the socket without waiting for the OS to clean up the old one. Oh, I see. Huh, interesting. Just a little logs view for us. Ooh, do I not have trace in here? Oh, it's called tracing. My mistake. Now, where does it leave the generated documentation? Is that in target? Oops, ls target doc. Oh, wow. Is there an index in there? Settings. All right. Now we can set it to IU. That over here. Make that tab 4. Close all that documentation to the right. Oh, so much better. All right. Cool. Perfect. Now everything that we're using is currently in this documentation. So if we want to look at, let's say async, it's there. Async IO async. You can filter it by crate. Why is that doing that? Keeps bouncing back to the other theme. Just load it again. Or Tokyo. That's still there. And it is being stubborn today, isn't it? The IU theme is not sticky. Oh, you can do a clean on that. Oh, interesting. All right. So we're still in TCP server. Tokyo compat doesn't exist. Where is compat in Tokyo? Oh, it's in Tokyo utils compat? Yeah. Util. Tokyo underscore util. We can check out its modules. I didn't enable the compat on there. No wonder. Yeah, they're on 18. Compat. Now this should be much faster since it built it once. Blocking? Oh, okay. So once that's in there, we should have the compatibility stuff. At least that's what I think it is. Yeah. This is probably just going to be a standard IO error. I don't think TCP server has its own error wrappers. Unlikely, yeah. So let's just use standard IO error in that case. And that'll work for the bind here and then the socket accept. Nice, okay. Let's take that off of there so that we return the task. Good. Now we refresh and now we got compat. This is all the compatibility stuff. It's really just traits. Is Godot Rust mature enough? I think it is. The next version of Godot Rust is going to have better async support. I'm currently using async support with the 0.9 preview 0. And the next version, in the milestones here, is going to have async stuff. So it's proper async support. Right now I'm using multitask inside of Rust Godot. I have to be careful about things, vanishing because of the way the C++ bindings work. But I think Rust, the new version does a really good job of keeping you from having unsafe everywhere, and you're able to have unsafe in very tight areas now. And that the API expresses when things are becoming unsafe much more accurately than the 0.8 version. But this is what I miss. Yield. That would be nice. Still. All right. Oh, interesting. This does return a result. That's funny. Okay. Now this has to be wrapped in an OK block. The trait bound result future is not satisfied. Are they doing their own executor? No. No, they will not be doing their own. They'll give you hooks to start whatever one you want. I have a result there. I see it's a future, which has the output of a result. Yeah, and I should be able to use the try operator on that to return it early, right? Or is the result of bind? Oh, it's not a... Oh. I thought bind was async. Oh, it was with Tokyo, wasn't it? It was with Tokyo. Oh, interesting. Now, in this case, the trait bound... Is this because it's not in scope? Thought it was in scope because... No, I see. Just surprised. So this bind actually just wants adder A, where A is... Where A is what? Into socket adder. Alright, let's just return socket adder from that. You guys, a little too creative here. I like to separate the standard ones apart from the crate ones. Dot parse? Into socket adder. Oh, fine. Fine. I'll just create a socket adder. This is a socket adder v. Let's just do a new. And this one's an IP address. Just unwrap. Oh, unwrap the parse. Fine. Oh, thank you. Much easier. Alright, now in this case, mismatch types, yeah, this wants that wrapped up. So let task equal to this, go to the end of it, toss on a semicolon, and then okay our task. Good. Socket accept. I see. Now in this case, okay, like so. That should give us a return type. Now probably down here. Split for socket adder. Oh, I have that backwards. Should be socket first and then the address second. We're going to use this again. Flip comma. Oh, brilliant. It doesn't do split? I thought I used this in one of my tests yesterday. No. Yeah, we can do that like this. And they're subtly different? Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I ended up using that for some of the tests for Stream Multiplexer. I ended up opening a Unix pipe, wrapping it in async, tossing that split like that in there. All right, now in this case, get a better error. Read half, async write is not satisfied. Inner, then the encoder. The packet encoder, that should be fine. Yeah, I thought that's what we needed the compat for, was to be able to go from that async type to this type. So what is writer now? That's a read half async TCP stream. No, no self in that. Good, okay. Async read is not satisfied for that. Now that's a Tokyo async read. If we look back in here, compat, read and write compatibility here. So as long as we have this in there, we should be able to call the compat function here, which should give us the right inner type. Because compat itself implements async read and write from Tokyo. Oh, the split looks backwards? Did I get that backwards? Oh. It returns a read half and a write half. Okay. Oh, that's subtle. Flip comma. Man, I love that flip comma thing. That is just fantastic. Now what is this type? Compat, no method name, compat found for right half. Do I have to wrap that in something else first? I feel like I'm missing something. Oh, that's actually Rust Analyzer. It provides code actions, so you can extract things into variables, you can flip a comma. Oh, what's a full error? Let's see. Oh, actually, that could be it. And that if that's not in scope. Then the split is the wrong one. Yeah, I think we have to fix that, and then it'll find the right thing. That's in Futures IO async read, but this is only there if standard feature is enabled. Oh, wrong one. TCP codec, TCP server. Yeah, give that an update. That should fail here momentarily, and we'll continue. Yeah, Mozzarella X. The Rust Analyzer is just fantastic. It is great. I think it's going to change how people onboard with Rust. Okay, so any issues up here? Let's get rid of messages. Oh, you did. I didn't update it yet. And if you haven't used what features, it is amazing. It's easier than going into crates.io to see what something supports, or to dig through their source code or their cargo.toml file. This does all the digging for you. One of Museum's crates. It is fantastic. Oh, flip comma would be useful as a plugin. That it would. Yeah, for other things. Add stream pair. What? Add stream pair. Sync stream channel ID. It's fine. We'll get there. Huh. Is that not unpin? I guess it's unpin if the inner type is unpin and it doesn't know what the inner type is. Because we haven't constrained any of that. Okay. But this here, let's go back to the bigger error. Oh, you know what we haven't been doing today? Incoming joke. Here we go. What's the bare minimum? One bear. Didn't. Not BEAR. This one is awful. This one is so awful. Why does Snoop Dogg carry an umbrella? Faux drizzle. That is so bad. That one's so bad. Sorry. Okay, back to this. That was horrible. Oh, bad jokes are funny. Didn't. Yeah, I need a little sound kit here. Actually, that's a good idea for stream effects. I'm gonna add that to my notes. There we go. Thank you. All right, that's been noted. See, eventually I want to get another thing connected to the stream so they can have an overlay of sorts. I want it to be written in Godot using a Twitch chat, and it'll be my little assistant. We'll call it not Clippy. No, we won't. All right, no method name compat for a right half. Why? Compat's not found. Doesn't satisfy async read. But do we have to wrap it in async? I thought that was async. Is right half not? Why doesn't it satisfy this, actually? I think it's this one. So this is if t is async read. And in this case, right half, what did I do? Oh, I opened a tab. Right half should be what's an async right? Are those backwards again? Okay, so we get the read half and we get a write half. I get that. That's from async read ext, the split there. Now in this case, that reader, read half async, fine. And the frame reader should take the read half and the other one should take the write half. Or does that not? That one doesn't. I see, and compat should have futures async read. Async read to Tokyo async read. Also right, of course. So why didn't that writer in this case is a write half async TCP stream. And if we here, I'm just gonna go put compat back. Let's look at the error again. Why does it think it's for read? Does framed write want a reader? What does framed right want? Sorry, wrong button. Inner T, where T is what? Given an encoder. So this, that needs to be the same as this. Good. This encoder here. That seems fine. Oh, do I have both async read traits imported at the same time? Ooh, good question. Doesn't look like it. In fact, I don't even have async read in here. I don't think multiplexer re-exports that, so we're fine there. Compat doesn't. Alright, so let's do that check. Oh, interesting. We don't have Tokyo anymore. Is that re-exported with Tokyo utils? I don't think it is it? Codec. Re-exports? No. Compat. Nothing in here, even though these refer to it. What is it, O.2 something at the moment? It should be async right, shouldn't it? Async right. Oh, neat. That's a neat way to check that. I'm going to take a note on that. Those little tidbits like that are great. Thank you. It's an async right. And that's going to be from futures. So if it's an async right, we should be able to compat it to the other type. I wonder if there's just not enough information about the reader yet. It's a writer for a TCP stream. Compat exists, but the trait bounds were not satisfied. Async read. Why does async read need to be on this framed write? I mean, unless I got my head spun around on this. It's async of frames to an async write. Creates a new framed write given the encoder, where T is async write, and this T here is a Tokyo one. Rust is winning this round. Looks like a writer, smells like a writer. Same thing there. Or cast the compat to that dyne trait. Gotcha. Alright. So that's going to be... Well, we could do this, right? Compat writer. No, it doesn't work because it has to be self. So it's law writer as that. Dot compat. NK Mercy, good morning. Yeah, this is... Oh, I see. Gotcha. Compat isn't... Can I find method or associated constant compat in futures async write compat ext? Is it compat write? Oh, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so bad. Okay. That makes sense, because otherwise, how would it know? Do you want the reader or do you want the writer? Of course. Of course. Docs are hard to read. Stack Overflow. Oh, wow. All right. Yeah, it makes sense. That makes sense. Interesting game idea. Here's some little bit more information on it. All right, now Stream Multiplexer actually wants these things to be unpin and try streams. Also, type as trait method instance for the disambiguation. Thank you. So why would it be a tri-stream? In this case, it would be a tri-stream if the result type was correct. Sounds like Atlas, Shipwrecked, Worlds Adrift. Maybe not. I'm not familiar with any of those. Huh. Compiler should always know at that point. That makes sense. Now, in this case, I'm looking at this, I think, you know, the tri-stream, sure, that's possible. Sync's possible. But the unpin on these, how do we actually fix that? Because I think Stream Multiplexer wanted these things to be unpinned so that it could wait properly on it. But for that to be unpinned, then the rest of this has to be unpinned, doesn't it? They should be unpinned by default? Actually, I want to try that again. Let blah equal to whatever, 9, and then the trait. Let's just give it one, sync. Oh, borrow that. Yep, gotta borrow it. Okay, so the unpin stuff is just, that's all gonna be working. That's nice. So when I saw that, like, I don't know how to do that for these foreign types. That seems kind of sketchy. I'd have to like do the new type pattern and then go against whatever they were doing to mark it as unpin, not unpin. Okay, so in this case, what do we have here? It needs to be a tri-stream. And that means that the packet codec has to produce a certain kind of item. So here we have a length delimited codec as its inner. Let's go look at codec and see what that actually gives us. Phantom pinned? Oh, no way. What? Wait, why? What is that for? That sounds crazy. Phantom pinned. So that you can know whether or not something's pinned? Which is the way of unpinning, of implementing unpin safely. That's the same as not unpin. Wow, okay. That's neat. So if something has a phantom pinned marker inside of it, then it cannot be unpinned. Nice. That is handy. Alright, let's jump back one. Now the return, okay, so this stream here, let's look at the sync first. If we were to try to get in, to write something to it, sync.send, just give it unit for now because we want the error. It's expecting bytes. I found unit. Okay, that's fine. And I think that's fine. So we got an option to a result. Ooh, interesting. Because I think what Stream Multiplexer is expecting is that the stream actually produces. Well, I guess that looks right to me, right? It's going to produce an option that has a result with a valid OK in item type. All right, so let's look at that error again. Let unit equals foo is even shorter. Nice. All right, now it's saying that ST is not a tri-stream. And that appears correct, right? It's returning an option. Well, what is the definition of a tri-stream in this case? Let's just double check. Yeah, and this is not what the other thing's producing. It's producing an option. Oh, it's just because I wasn't unwrapping it. No, that's fine. Yeah, stream item equals result TND. I think it was just in my test I didn't unwrap the result from the next. So in this case, let's try this again. Let underscore. That's my notes. The value of the associated types, error, from trait, tri-stream, item, must be specified. Oh, interesting. Let's see, wrong number of arguments found to it. Okay. Never actually tried, and associated types are weird. Well, I think this is going to be bytes. And error is likely going to be... well, even if it gives us something, it'll be good. How about standard IO error? The value of the associated item, the stream must be specified. Is it in a playable state? No, not at the moment. Ah, I see, it's sealed. So we have to do try stream with item being a result. There we go. The following trait bounds were not satisfied. So which trait bound isn't actually being satisfied? All right, so we've just validated that ST is a stream. It has an item and it's got a result type, right? Definitely a try stream. We also think that it's unpin. Yes. Oh, can I do that there? All right. Okay. Okay, now for the sync side of things, let's do the sync. Oh, I see. So you can put that inside of that like that. Oh, that's handy. Let's try that. Nice. All right, now what else was there? Okay, that one's fine, that one's fine. The sync bit, let's try that. Oh, the value of the associated type error from must be specified. Okay. Something like this. One can tell you to trait magic often. Yes. Mismatch type of using is magic. Oh, it should be a codec error. Fine. We can do that. All right. First one, second one, third one, fourth one, done, 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 done. We already did this one. We know it's a result. ST, we know it's a stream because a try stream is a stream. This has all just been validated. It's all there. Like each one of those. I see if the associated type / generics are getting in the way. Function foo. Oh, interesting. So, do I have any other like weird constraints on this? Try stream unpin, sync unpin. Oh. Oh. The stream's okay, it has to be the type for the item. I don't think that's the case though, is it? And it might not be standard format debug error. Should though. Oh, that's for the error type itself. And I think codec error does implement debug. Yeah, okay. See, I think what's going on though is that this item here is from the stream's OK type. So in this case, this result here, we give this a unit and make that fail, figure out what the type is. You can't do non-autos for dyne traits. Okay, because this wants bytes. And it has a codec error. Okay. Which means that this has to be bytes. Oh. Bytes, bytes, that's TCP codec error. All right, let's try out the other one that you're suggesting here. I see, but I don't see anything else that we can check using this form that we didn't already check. Okay, unpin we did. Now in this case, the stream of an item being a result, is that the right kind of result? Probably. Bytes and codec error. That actually satisfies a number of these. All of those. That's a neat trick though, this dynamic traits on the left. Which theme am I using? This is Challenger Deep. All right. Sync, stream, sync, stream. Just make sure they're wired up correct. Sync, stream. I don't know. The only constraints that we have on it are these here. let's do the function then. Expected function. I have a foo above it. Yeah, I wanted to call foo. Oh shoot, thank you. That's right. Yeah, I missed that. Thank you. Where's it? Where did it get moved? The previous iteration of the loop, right? Alright. Okay, so this is please this likes that. Oh yeah, you showed us this before. Where you do that and you return this. Oh, come on. Oh, here. That's why. Yes, I undid that. Okay. Good. That didn't just fix this, did it? No, it didn't. Trishak 55. Good morning. All right. So the foo works. This one doesn't. Why is that? We have the same constraints in both places. Different. Oh my goodness. Oh, that could be it. Oh, good idea, Museum. Good idea. What do we actually have in here? Because in this case, I'm using futures util and not futures. And in the other one, we're using just futures and not futures util. Maybe a subtly different version? Interesting, where'd futures light come from? It's all 035, except for the futures light bits. Tri-stream, unpin, clone, sync. The only things that aren't standard in here is going to be the tri-stream and the sync. Yeah. Futures core. And this is futures sync 035 for both versions. Yeah, we're looking for tri-stream here off of futures core. Now I know that these should all be exactly the same thing, right? Whether or not it's coming out of futures core, or it's coming out of futures, or it's coming out of futures util. Is there a bound on the struct? Good question. Or ST is static. Well, it's going to own it. The reason that we had to make it static here was, where'd it go? So ST has to be static because I think it was a dash map needed it to be static. Yeah. Huh. No method named add stream pair found for that in the current scope. What if the TCP server has these types being passed in? What if it didn't? What if, just to test, What if it owned its own one? Like, it does kind of own it. It has a copy of it. But these types here. Oh, that's the problem? What? Oh, so these aren't constrained. Yeah, that works. Well, let's see. Try again. Yep. Okay. That's it. So we either have to give it real types here. We could actually return one of these. Now, the caller always picks the type, and here it's generic for all types, isn't it? And we didn't have it constrained for all types. So those errors were correct because not all types of ST and SI were constrained that way. Oh man, you know, I spend so much time in Rust, and still I get these moments. And sure enough, it's just, oh my goodness. All right, I don't mind this actually creating that type. So it would be nice. It would be easy. But when it creates it, everything else actually needs a multiplexer along with this. And it just feels weird to have the TCP server create the multiplexer. So we could either use concrete types here that we've pretty much already figured out down here. Oh, yeah, we figured it all out. Sorry. Yeah, it's done now. I'm kidding. Oh man. Oh, give me a moment. All right. Why did the stadium get hot? All the fans left. But all right. So we could either do some sort of type alias for multiplexer and have these stamped out, or we could have this return one. More along the lines of having a return one just because it would be easier. We just toss this up here. Technically, I think it only needs that there. Yep, okay. We just need a better type for that. Okay, we'll do that in just a moment. I need to fix my network thing. Got to pause some devices this morning. Where should we put that? We could put it off of type. Multiplexer. All right, so this is going to take something of that type. We're going to give it stronger types here. Just use that. I don't know, I still don't like this pattern. Yes, that debugging was actually very educational. And that's the point of this, isn't it? Learn Rust. Check. Why even put it on self? Touche. Because it could just be passed in here. Oh, you're right, in run. Oh, that would be so much nicer. Just pass it into run. Well, other things are going to need to have access to multiplexer so that they can send information to it. We're not using a channel anymore for that. We're just passing multiplexer around. So you'll clone multiplexer, and if you need to send something, you call, multiplexer.send on it. I gotta pour some more water. Oh, I see. Oh my goodness. Sorry, the type Tetris is starting to fall into place in my head. And because the color determines the types. That's a big thing here, isn't it? And the types are actually defined inside this function. Because we end up creating the TCP server and all that in here. Oh, interesting. We're still going to have the same issue because the types are chosen in here. So either we pass in these elements at the same time, and if we did that, then those types will be known, and we could wire it together at that point. So I could give this a type here. All right. We just need a certain kind of multiplexer that we can add to. So what was that type? That's one of these for the stream. And now for the sync. Read half and write half. Where did this come from? TCP stream? That's an easy one. Let's check the docs. All right, irrefutable while let pattern. Oh, I see. Yeah, this should just be a loop, shouldn't it? Because it's... That's better. Hey, Berduda, how's it going? Your friend completed a 40-week bodybuilding program this morning. It's a girl and weighs 7 pounds, 14 ounces. Everybody loops. That's funny. Oh, interesting. If you want to maybe be fancy. Yeah. Giving birth. It's the fastest weight loss program. All that amniotic fluid, all that stuff. Man. All right, so what you're saying is that we could import these things here. Now, how does that work? Break one. Oh, neat. Oh. This technically needs to be the same as that one. Yeah, I don't see how to wire this up for multiplexer without having generics here. All right. Well, we updated one file today. Okay. What's going on here? Oh, unused result. Add stream pair. How does it fail? Should I add better docs for this? Oh, if the channel ID goes away, yes. Or if the channel's full. Or if... you have to read half fails to add. Okay. Do we actually want to bail here if that's the case? Maybe. Is today Wednesday or today's Thursday, right? Hold on just one moment. I have to check on my wife real quick. All right. Yep. She left. All right. To town. Here's another nice thing. Anyhow, context is a trait, and it's implemented on option. Oh, nice. All right. Basically okay or else, but fancy for application code. Oh, it uses black using this theme. Oh, interesting. Let's see. Yeah, number of term colors. Yeah, if you're not using something that has true color support, then you don't get that kind of soft blue color in the background. All right. So now I gotta actually have some sort of error type with this. I don't know if I want to have an error type for TCP server. Oh, we have TCP codec. We just return TCP codec. Where's the other one? Unreachable expression. Oh. Turbofish. There we go. When in doubt, do the classic thing. Scenario error new. Yes. Other, etc. Wait, add stream pair. Oh, it's a multiplexer error. Oh, okay. Yeah. Fine. TCP server lib. Is it pub enum error? I like to be a little bit more descriptive, but TCP server error. Is there our error? And oh, we have to derive this with debug. One of those. There we go. Why does this have things like Saturday and CBOR? Not that file, not that one. All right, now we have codec error. Oh, what is the token here? It's is it error? TCP server error. Yeah, nothing. Alright, so now we have our own little wrapper for that. What was this one? Oh, multiplexer error. Oops. What is type E for multiplexer error? Sync error, and in this case, sync error is going to be standard I/O error. Just gonna hard code that because I don't want that in this. Oh, if it's being used. Thank you. Can you get the colon on there? Assuming Rust 2018, yes. Yeah. Yeah, I don't use macro use anymore. TCP server error on that. All right, now for this one. We understand that it is unreachable. But if we don't do that, then we have to add a little bit extra information here because it doesn't know what type the error is. Oh, you can add unreachable to the end. It's like a nod to... Oh, the other way. Right. Unreachable statement. The unreachable statement's unreachable. Oh, without the okay. I think that's okay. The problem is we need to give the okay, the result variant a type. Oh, that's the wrong one. This is TCP server. Oh, do we not? I thought we did this variant. Is not satisfied. The following implementations were found from IO error, multiplexer error, TCP codec error. Type mismatch, okay. What is this? This should give us a multiplexer error back. Add stream pair shouldn't give us a codec. Am I making my own TCP server? Yeah, game server, yeah. I guess of sorts it's a TCP server. Yeah, stream multiplexer is actually everything. That's where everything gets handled. So, directly answer your question. It's a yes. If let error. Oh. I'm just surprised because here it's telling me that it's going to mismatch. If let error equals TCP server error, multiplexer error. That's this. Should have been doing that. Oh, interesting. It's a codec error, not an IO error. Okay. Yeah, so if you're familiar with, let's say, epoll, kq, select, right, those sorts of functions, and this is a BSD box-ish, it's an OS 10 box, so it has kq, it has some others too. But essentially, you're looking for categories of events. So if let's say you have people that are trying to authenticate, right? They're not authenticated yet. They would be in a bucket of sockets in a what I call a channel, and that channel gets polled separate from the other channels. So you can actually favor certain groups of sockets over others and have back pressure per channel. All right, so we got that. Oh. I like to do it this way. With the right error type. How does that not work? Standard IO error. It shouldn't be an IO error. Oh, that IO error at the bottom. Oh my goodness, okay. I'm gonna try that again. It's because of this other return type, not that one, but this one. Oh, what should it be though? Probably TCP server error. There we go. Okay. What does a sync mean here? So a sync in this case is from futures. Sync. There we go. It's an IO sync. It's basically something that you can. That's not the right one, is it? Oh, it is. It is the right one. But it's like where a stream produces values, syncs consume values. So you give something to a sync, and then it goes out. It basically takes something. So in this case, we're wrapping sockets in a sync, and it's our sync is a framed writer. So we give it something of like, let's say, a login packet response, and it takes a login packet response. It goes through the codec, and then those bytes get written out to the underlying socket, which it's wrapping. So it's just like a higher level write that understands maybe types over instead of just U8s. In this case, you can see we're building up our writer here. We give it the internal sort of write async writer, and then the codec. The codec knows how to translate stuff that we give it into stuff that can be written. All right, let's go back to server main. Oh, Sure Shack 55. I don't know about that. I'm not sure how that would work. But yeah, in this case, those errors should be very, very infrequent. All right, now in this area, we should have, here's our multiplexer, yay, the TCP server. Okay, Alright, this is good. I'm surprised that we're not getting errors in here. Maybe it just hasn't gotten to this point. I guess that's true. It wouldn't have gotten to this part of the server. Alright. Give that a check. Okay. So we're not going to have some of these elements. Outgoing packets, we're going to be passing in stream multiplexers. So instead of these outgoing packets, oh, interesting. In some of these cases, we actually forward things. Like, we'll put a message in a channel for someone. That's not supported by Stream Multiplexer currently. Oh, okay. I'm gonna need to do that. Futures are ordered once, the same type for everything, doesn't it? I might need to change a little bit more of the game server for that. Okay. Now, we also didn't get this set up. We stripped Tokyo out of here, but we didn't work on the select pieces. This Control C is for actually stopping the server. And we're using Tokyo Signal Control C for that. Is there another Control C? Cool. Might try that one. Let's take a peek at the code. Our lines. Polling, okay, active. Set handler, I see. Hmm. Oh, I could get IU.rs. Where's that? Ooh, fancy. Click the install directly with stylus badge at the top of the README. All right. Install style. Cool. Let's go back to this. Thank you. Very neat. Okay, so let's go to docs.rs. Oh, look at that. Oh, and the top bar is black. Is that? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Now I gotta work on things like this page here. This needs to be a dark theme or something. I need to fix that. Let's see, homepage, new windows, new tabs, etc. I gotta fix that. It is so dark. That looks good. Oh, I like even the graphs. Although the graph data little window is a little bright. Rest is good. Nice. Well, thank you for that. So yeah, I actually got to get ready for some meetings coming up here. Let's see, is anybody streaming today? Museum, you already streamed today. I'm guessing you're not gonna keep going. Ekton, are you gonna stream if you're out there? That's kind of a quiet day out there, isn't it? All right, toss programming search tag on there. We're gonna scroll to the bottom. We'll search for Rust and some other stuff. Wow, short list today. Oh, Rust operating system. Rust operating system, microkernel dev. We'll go that route. Let's make sure it's actually up and running. All right, y'all. Well, thanks for hanging out today. Then I'll try to make a little bit of progress with this because I know it's going to be a lot of the same changes. I'll try to clean that up after work. Huh. Neat. Is Redox in that little window there on his screen? That looks kind of cool. All right, I gotta run. So until next time, bye-bye.